Everyone knows the legends. The Mustangs, the Chargers, the GTOs, names stamped into American memory. But there is one you have almost certainly never seen, because only 3 were ever built, and 2 of those no longer exist. It was an experimental prototype, hand-assembled in secret in 1970, killed by its own company before a single one reached a showroom. For half a century, the last surviving example has sat in the dark of a private warehouse, under a blanket of gray dust, quietly becoming one of the most valuable cars in the country. This is the rarest muscle car almost nobody has ever heard of. To understand the car, you have to understand the man who drew it, and the strange, doomed moment he drew it in. His name was Gil Brenner, and by 1970 he was a senior engineer in the Advanced Projects Group of a major Detroit automaker, a skunkworks, a small locked shop where a handful of true believers were given money and quiet to build the future before anyone else could. Brenner was, by every account, a difficult and brilliant man, the kind who slept in the shop and argued with executives twice his rank. He had a photograph of a peregrine falcon pinned above his drafting table, and he wanted the car to move like one. And what he wanted to build was a muscle car that would make everything else on the road obsolete overnight. He gave it a low, wide, predatory stance nothing else in Detroit had. Not just more powerful and smarter. He was decades ahead of his time. He obsessed over aerodynamics when his rivals still thought a flat brick was fine. Over weight when Detroit measured worth in tons of steel. Over balance and handling in an era when American performance meant a huge engine and little else. For nearly 2 years, working under a project number in almost total secrecy, Brenner and a tiny crew hand-built 3 running prototypes of a car that existed nowhere on any dealer's order sheet. 3. That was all that was ever meant to be, until the program proved itself, and then the world changed underneath them. The timing could not possibly have been worse. Brenner had spent 2 years building the ultimate muscle car at the exact moment the muscle car era was falling off a cliff. By 1971, the forces lining up against it were overwhelming and came from every direction at once. Insurance companies had begun charging ruinous surcharges on high-performance cars, pricing young buyers out of the market almost overnight. The federal government was tightening emissions rules that strangled big engines and forced compression ratios down. On the horizon, though few yet knew it, sat the 1973 oil embargo, which would send gas prices soaring and finish off the thirst for anything with a giant motor. The executives who controlled Brenner's budget looked at all of this and made the only decision that made financial sense. They killed the program. There would be no production run, no launch, no advertising campaign, no car in any showroom. The tooling was never ordered. The drawings were boxed and sent to a basement archive. The 3 hand-built prototypes that Gil Brenner had poured his life into were, overnight, orphans, engineering exercises for a car that the company had decided the world no longer wanted. He's said to have gone to the executives one last time with a folder of test numbers and to have been told politely that numbers were not the problem. The calendar was. To the accountants, it was a line item closed. To Brenner, it was the end of the only thing he'd ever truly believed in. And the question of what happened to those 3 cars is where the story turns strange. Because here is what made the loss sting for the few who knew. By the numbers, the car actually worked. Brenner's prototype weighed hundreds of pounds less than any comparable muscle car of his day, thanks to a lightweight body and an aluminum version of a big block V8 that most of Detroit wouldn't attempt for another 30 years. Its hidden headlights and flush glass were the kind of details that wouldn't become normal until the 1990s. It made well over 500 horsepower in a chassis actually engineered to handle it, with a low, wide stance and a nose shaped in a wind tunnel at a time when almost no American performance car bothered. Engineers who drove it said it felt less like a muscle car and more like something from a category that didn't exist yet. On the test track, it reportedly outbraked, outcornered, and out-accelerated every production muscle car the company built. And then it was scattered. Prototype number 1 was destroyed during high-speed testing, wadded into a guardrail, and later quietly scrapped. Its wreck was photographed once, and the photograph too was lost. Prototype number 2 was sold off in the chaos of the program's shutdown. Its paperwork lost. Its trail going cold somewhere in the mid-70s. To this day, no one knows whether it was crushed, exported, or is still sitting in some barn under a tarp, its owner utterly unaware of what they have, which left prototype number 3, the survivor. And the reason it survived at all comes down to a single quiet decision made by the one man who could not let all 3 of them die. When the program was shut down, the 3 prototypes were company property, destined for the crusher like most failed experiments. But Gil Brenner could not do it. Using most of his savings and a great deal of the goodwill he had left, he quietly arranged to buy prototype number 3 out of the company as scrap. Officially a pile of parts with no value, unofficially the only intact survivor of the best thing he had ever made. He took it home. And then, in a way that is almost unbearably human, he barely drove it. He had no money to run it, nowhere to show it, and a car that officially did not exist. For years it sat under a cover in his garage, and when he grew old and money grew short, he sold it to a private collector who understood what it was and promised to keep it whole. The collector, true to his word, never sold it and never quite showed it either. Gil Brenner died in the 1990s in an ordinary house, an ordinary retirement, remembered by almost no one outside a few old engineers who traded his story like a rumor. He never saw the moment, years after his death, when collectors finally realized what that lone survivor was, and its value climbed into the millions. Today, prototype number 3 sits exactly where that collector left it, in the climate-controlled dark of a private warehouse, deep burgundy paint, under a soft gray coat of dust, unmarked, wide and low and waiting, worth a fortune the man who dreamed it never saw a dime of. Most of these stories are about love or loss or a promise kept. This one is about something quieter, a good idea born at the wrong time, and one stubborn man who couldn't let the last proof of it be crushed. Somewhere out there, the rarest muscle car America almost built is still waiting for a world that finally understands what it was looking at. And somewhere is prototype number 2, lost, unaccounted for, maybe closer than anyone thinks. If this one surprised you, take a moment to like it and subscribe. Because every one of these machines is somebody's unfinished sentence, and there are more of them out there than you would ever believe. We'll find the next one together, next time.